Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe. So I'm going to tell a little story that I went through. It's a true story. Um, my first ex, my first narcissist, we broke up. And when you break up with someone, especially a narcissist, a lot of times the ties that you had with their family are just cut, they're just severed. So I had gotten really close with his grandmother, like super close, and a wonderful woman. And he had gone against her wishes and cut ties between me and her. He forbid her to see me, to talk to me. And grandma and I had a mutual friend, and she kept telling me how much grandma misses me. And it's not grandma that wants these things, it's grandma's daughter. And then my ex, who didn't want me around. It was really hard because we had a really special relationship. Because of our small daughter, I spent a lot of time over there. We also lived there for a little while. So, I lost the friendship with his sister. She said at court, out of respect for my brother. So that shows how deep the friendships go. But, grandma still wanted to talk to me, and he wouldn't allow it. So eventually grandma passed away, and of course I'm not allowed at the funeral. But we still had a daughter in common, her grandson and I. So it's her great grandmother. So I drove 3 hours to take my daughter so he could have her at the funeral, because his mom is in town, which was my daughter's grandma. And I drove 3 hours, spent the money on the gas, and I just kind of floated around town. Really didn't have anything to do. Kind of wasted my day, did a couple things, but I was just alone, kind of walked around, and then it was time for me to go pick her up. So I go to pick her up, and the grandmother, I'm sorry, his mother, she's my daughter's grandma, um, and had asked to have more time. And I was tired. I still had a 3 hour drive. I felt, for my daughter's sake. Also, I still loved my ex, so I was trying to kind of do it for him too, to be honest with you. Because even though, like, I don't hold animosity, um, I just don't. It's not healthy. Maybe somewhat, maybe I should have had a little more animosity, but I did that. Paid for it, made her available, and his mother had asked for more time. She wanted to go fishing. And I'm like, I know what a fishing trip is like. That's a couple hours, at least two. And I was already getting tired. And I'm like, what am I going to do for another 2, 3, 4 hours? I really didn't have the money at that time to, even grab something to eat. I was also hurt that I wasn't allowed to go to the funeral. I didn't have to interact with them. I just wanted to go there, pay my respects. So this is the thing with these narcissistic relationships. As soon as I said no, that I would like to get home, they kept bombarding me. And the mother was giving me excuses like, I don't really get to see the grandchild that much. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you don't come see her. And even when my ex and I were apart, I still drove 2, 3 hours. I don't remember now, 2, 3, 4 hours, something like that. And paid for it. So it was probably 4 hours from where we lived. But I drove her up there to see her granddaughter, and I paid for it. I took the time to drive up there. I believe they might have taken me out to dinner. But I made that effort a few times. Once was a church picnic. So, they donated to the potluck thing, but I put the effort in. And she's telling me, let me have more time with her because I don't get to see her that much. So there's no appreciation for what I've done. They don't put the effort into it. She had left her husband when he had kidney failure, had a kidney transplant. And so she brought some toxicity into my ex's life. But my ex, they're not respecting my boundary. I made the deal. I held up the deal. I brought her across state. I let her go to the funeral, spend some time at grandma's house reminiscing. And then it was time for her to go home. I said I would like to go home. They didn't respect it. They kept begging. And I start feeling like, should I have let her stay? Like, this is a funeral, but I did what was agreed to. And, I start having this guilt, like, should I let her stay longer? And focusing on my daughter, should I have given her more time with the grandmother? But the grandmother wasn't interested in the granddaughter really, unless it was convenient. So maybe, where does the focus go? Because I brought her there so she could be at the funeral. I, who's in the wrong in this part, but I did what was agreed to. I put the effort in, I put the money in. I'm not even allowed at this place for the funeral. So I'm already hurt. So this is kind of like a reactive abuse. You want more from me when I'm being shit on. I'm upholding, I'm paying, I'm sacrificing by just walking around. Our daughter has needs, and it's a balance. It's a balance. I wanted to make sure she got home safe. I was tired. I didn't know what to do. So part of it was reflecting on me, part of it's reflecting on my daughter. But to go fishing would have been several more hours. It's not like, can we just have another half hour or hour? And who knows when they would have brought it back. So they called the cops because I started getting a little agitated because I'm like, I just want to go, and they weren't releasing her to me. And I am across state. I can't leave without my daughter. And so they make it seem like we're the crazy one because we're getting frustrated. We don't know what to do. We can't, you get caught up. Like, I can't just leave. This is my daughter. I set a boundary. I did everything right. And now I'm getting frustrated. We're allowed to get frustrated too. I did everything right. But in that moment, this is where we struggle. We have nothing to pull from. We have nothing to pull from. We're like, we did everything right. This was the agreement. I set my boundaries. I said no. Now what? And so we're like, can we just like, and you're sitting here giving me these excuses. I'm like, I I'm the one bringing her to you. And you've never come to see her. I've been open, like, you want to visit her, you want to call her. So you want me to be inconvenienced, but you won't be inconvenienced. And I say no, so the cops are called. They tell this whole little story. And so now I've got a police report against me. And it's like trying to do something good always turns bad. Should I have I'd like you guys to please tell me, should I have let them go on that fishing trip? I'm across state. I didn't agree to that. It wasn't his time, but I gave him some extra time. I gave my daughter that time, family time. And then at the last minute, when they know that they have the power whether they return her or not. It wasn't like when I dropped her off, hey, do you mind afterwards if we can go fishing? Granted, I could have been nicer, I guess, but I was already nice. And we just get used. And then when we say no, we get the cops called on us. And I was hurt too. Like, I was trying to control my emotions because I wasn't allowed at the funeral. So you get emotions. Like, I'm going to cry right now. Just how toxic things turn. And then how people perceive you. Like, I get where you guys are coming from because people get turned against you, and it's frustrating because you sit here questioning everything you did. Should I have let her stay longer? Was I focusing on her? We're people, we have feelings. And I was at school thinking about doing this video today, and it's kind of been eating me up. Because we do still have triggers. And the thing that really bugs me is how when you try to do something nice, it turns out wrong.
And it's a no-win situation, you know? I could have said no, I could have fought back in a narcissistic way and call him a bunch of names and you jerk, you won't let me be there, so no, she can't be there. I tried to put my feelings aside, tried to focus on her, even focus on him. It's a big loss to lose your grandmother. There's no focus on me for what I lost. um he didn't focus on her needs, that she still wanted to see me. um and you know um it's all about the narcissist. It's not about other people. It wasn't about his grandma, it wasn't about me. Maybe at that time it was about his daughter, but his mother, the things that you know she did. His father was overcompensated for everything, praised the son like crazy, and she did some toxic things. She ignored him, whatever their story is. So my ex, had that upbringing, and then during the divorce, it was horrible for them. But I guess my point is, be careful doing nice things. We should. I think I should have done that. But we have boundaries and we're not allowed to keep them. That's the thing with narcissists. And we get frustrated. So when we put ourselves in that situation, it ended up with me a police report against me. They push your buttons. They push your triggers. And I should have been allowed to say no. I should have been allowed to say no because I already sacrificed. I sacrificed for people who didn't give a shit about me. They didn't give a shit about, well, in a sense, but as far as grandma, her wishes, she would have wanted me there. I know without a doubt. And we sit here, we go back in our memory, like, should I have done that? Should I have given more? I have no more to give. You give so much. And how I handled it, I probably should have said, I am taking, but that's the thing, is like I did try to handle it the right way. You need to release her now. I need to go. That's what our agreement was. But they still don't uphold. It's not like you argue and then they're like, you're right. You're right. That's what we agreed to. Um, the narcissist always has to win. So comment below if I did the right or wrong thing in your opinion. Um, get a discussion going, maybe share some of your stories, because we feel guilty. Like, we empathize that they're probably hurting, that they lost grandma. Um, we're empathizing. I'm feeling sorry for them. I'm understanding their pain. But they didn't understand mine and they just kept asking for more. So that's where it gets toxic. And that's where, when you try to handle the situation, it's impossible. They're not thankful for what they get, and did I focus on my daughter's needs enough? She was, I don't even know, 5 to 8, maybe, some 5 to 8 years old, maybe even somewhere 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, something like that. Um, you know, uh, she wasn't close with her grandma. It was like a stranger. Um, so it would have just been another day, because the grandma would not still invest. She wasn't there to build a relationship with her daughter. She was there to seize an opportunity. She wasn't there to build a relationship. And, they didn't offer to bring me with them. Maybe we could have worked something out. It's never been violent. So let me come fishing. There's no offer. There's no, here's, 15, $20, go get something to eat. Or you can just chill at the house, take a nap. It's like all about using. And this is where I struggle. Like, did I focus on my daughter or not that day? Like, driving 6 hours round trip. Um, you know, uh, do we ever win? You know? So please comment below, and sorry for the emotions. We have our triggers.
and it takes a while to heal. Some days are good, some days are bad, but in the end, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Thanks for watching.